Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the week of content of videos, so hope you guys been enjoying these. Um, I believe this is day 5, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe it's day 5, because as you can tell by my attire and just the setting and everything, uh, I literally recorded like the first 4 videos like back to back, so excuse, kind of the, loss of memory. I was just trying to remember what day we're on. I believe we're on day 5. Um, and quite a film to talk about, too. That film being Blue Valentine, which was directed and co written by Derek Clan or Sion France. I think that's how you say his name. I have his name pulled up here. Um, he would go on to direct some other notable pieces like The Place Beyond the Pines, which also starred Ryan Gosling. Um, he also developed a television series, a miniseries, I Know This Much Is True, which starred Mark Ruffalo, which I have seen, and I really, really enjoyed that series. I know it's particularly grim and a little bit, maybe a little bit harder to digest, but I think that just really, just involved me, and the performances are just really, really something. And I can definitely say the same things for Blue Valentine, thankfully, because Blue Valentine, tells the story of a married couple starring Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams, and it shows basically a contrast between how they came to find each other, how they how they began to fall in love, to where they are now, and the distance that has been created between these two, the toxicities that are being presented within their relationship, um, and ultimately, the falling out of love and the showing of the falling into love, simultaneously. Um, and like I said up top, showing my hand, I think that it's a film that is, just sitting absolutely in a sense of realism and authenticity. It's not a film that was being played up for dramatic effect. Um, there are select scenes in the film that just rattled me. Like, I was just fairly disturbed by it because of just how real it is, like how real the moments play, and um, how like um, just how just the aura of it, just by the demeanor of it, just it sways from being extremely charming to then being just very terrifying because of the circumstance. Um, and it's also a film about consequential events, because their love, once you view it from a certain parameter, because the film itself, I feel like, also does this, um, you get a sense that their relationship was rushed. It's a rushed, situation, because she ultimately gets knocked up, as the saying goes, and Ryan Gosling's character, comes into the picture, and he, is in some manner just a child, and as he grows older, he is just more of that, and he's develops into this narcissistic and very self-centered, just about his own deal. He's more or less the child, where Michelle Williams is actually the one who's grown up, um, and it starts out as a story of two children falling in love, and it ends with with uh, with one of these children grown up, where the other is just just walking around aimlessly and just not caring much about anything really. And um, it's a film that just really hit me. Like, it's like it weighed on me at the end, and I think that the performances at the center of it are just really something. I think Ryan Gosling is interesting to me because, I think that he's a good performer, but I've never found him to be a great performer, as some people, choose to label him as. I enjoy his work in Blade Runner. I've also enjoyed his work in La La Land. I remember liking him in First Man, but not greatly. So he has done good work, but you know, nothing that's really gotten me to that place where I can call him, great. This is that one time where I can say, okay, now I get it, because um, the way that he portrays his character is that there is a consistency to that performance, and within said consistency there is added like depth and added weight as this character moves through certain times, when we see him at a young age and then when we see him at a much older stage. It's you know it's very telling, consider when you see how he is there and how he is in the present. It's still the same person. The person has not changed. That narcissist, that evil, that selfishness, it was always there at the start. um, which is why I also say that you can also view the film as a as a as consequential events, the origins of where that stuff comes from. Because if you were to really look at his character and really assess, everything, you would not want to date that person or really be around said person because they're just an asshole. Um, and Michelle Williams is just always terrific. I think that she plays. She's clearly a victim of just abuse. She always is put in. Talking about her character, like she's put in very bad situations. She's someone who can never escape toxicity. She's always been surrounded within the toxic environments, and she's so used to a certain kind of treatment. So it's no surprise that she ends up with someone like Ryan Gosling, or before with a certain individual. Um, but it's characters that I just found myself so glued to. I just found them just so compelling, and more also to the credit of Derek in the directing chair. He's just like, there's subtle details that are presented, like just the way that they use the color grading, like how it's um, more bright in the scenes where they're younger, and then much darker when they're older. Um, and that kind of leads into like some of the smaller issues that I have with the film, which is that there is a rhythm that you pick up on that I think is, apparent. It just, there's like, they show you the young scenes and then the old scenes, the young, old, past, present. And, there came a point where I literally just, snapped my fingers. That was a fail. There we go. Where I snapped my fingers, and it literally cut on that time when I snapped my fingers, because it was just becoming, fairly, um, fairly consistent in terms of its editing. And I wish that it wasn't. I wish that it had a little bit more, a little bit of more of an uncertainty, um, with how it navigated its subjects. It would have created, I think, a little bit more, a little bit more dramatization. But at the same, but just now saying that, I'm just like, I don't know if I actually would want that to occur though, because I love how stewed it is in authenticity and realism. How it doesn't try to play anything up for dramatic effect. Um, so I'm kind of mixed on just the rhythm of it, and because of that, um, some of its wakefulness can feel a bit absent because of you picking up on how the film moves along. It's like, you're like, okay, I expect this to happen, I expect this to happen. Boom, here we go, we're going back to the present. Like, you do pick up on that at a certain point. Um, and I kind of wish I didn't, because the rest of what the film's offering, from a visual point of view, it is just stunning. I just from that show that I saw of his to then seeing this, I mean, he just knows how to do visuals really, really well. Um, I think you have two really compelling performances at the center of it. Particularly Ryan Gosling, in a role that I think he just completely owns. I think he's just so rock solid in that role. Michelle Williams is always great, but it was really surprising seeing how good Ryan Gosling was in this particular setting. Um, and more importantly, the aura of it, the way that the film just feels, like the energy that you get from it. It doesn't feel contrived. It doesn't feel contrived. It doesn't feel manipulative. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel dramatized. It feels real. It feels in the moment, and to me, that's what made the film very impactful and very, very powerful, and quite disturbing at points. Like I said, there's a scene If anyone who's seen the film, there's a scene that occurs towards the end. I guess you could say the blow up scene where Michelle Williams finally just says, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Um, that scene in particular just rattled me because of how real they play it, and just that, and then you get the opposite to that, which is that it also has a solid level of tenderness and charm. Like there's that notable scene where Ryan Gosling sings and Michelle Williams is dancing in that by a particular store. It's it has such powerful emotions at the center of it, and that ultimately is what made me just enthralled with it. I really really enjoyed myself with it. I had fears that I wouldn't like it because I've always hear about Blue Valentine and how much people love it, and when you hear so much hype surrounding a film, you get kind of concerned as to you know uh, how much you might enjoy it. But thankfully, I matched the I will match the energy that most people have for this film. I really really adore it. I wish that it had a little bit of a uncertainty in how it moves along, um, and thus having that more weightful like quality. But what else it's offering, it is just powerful, moving, and just real, just so real and in the moment. And I think that's one of the highest praises that you can give to to a film. It's not a film that's looking to do. It's not a film that chooses to manipulate its audience. It's a film that chooses to portray its events in the most accurate way possible. And I think that for the most part, um, they they landed uh, just just fairly. I want to say brilliant almost, um, but it's almost brilliant. I'll just put it that way. It's a near brilliant piece, and I I'm really really enthralled by it. Um, so that's my thoughts on Blue Valentine. I really really enjoyed it. You guys know your thoughts on Blue Valentine if you guys chose to see it, or if you guys have seen it. Um, I know it could be a little bit of it is a bit of a grim piece, so bear warning. It can be a bit dark in terms of just how it plays, but again, I think that it's the fact that it's so authentic. You know, like it has to be. That's the feelings of reality. And because one thing I also forgot to mention is that I love how the score also plays up these like the fantastical like elements to the past. When we get to the past, there's a score that's always in the background, because when they're in the present time, there is no score, because there is no longer that fantasy that is there. It's only the reality, and the reality is stewed in a silence, in silence. In their present circumstance, it's only the silence that can be heard. Where with back then, where it was fresh and was new, and mysterious, there's a fantastical element to it, and that score, it almost feels like you're in, um, it's almost like you're in a fairy tale almost at those points. So I also just want to give props to the score as well. Um, so I just forgot to mention that. Um, but those are my thoughts on Blue Valentine. You guys know your thoughts on Blue Valentine if you guys have seen it. And that's going to be it for me, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. We have 2 more films to go, so stay tuned for the other 2 films. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.